our friends, the Gizmondo, some sad news.
Tiger Telematics, yeah.
Yes.
Well, their subsidiary, Gizmondo Europe Limited, filing for bankruptcy.
It's like last week they tried to shore up finances with a short-term loan of $5 million, but it looks like it is too late. Now, they call it the UK arm of Tiger Telematics, and Greg, you had a good point. Isn't Tiger Telematics already a British company or a European company? Or
They're European. I want to say they're German.
Are they in Sweden? Are they the ones who had like the CEO was like connected with the mob? Is that them?
No, you're thinking of a claim. No.
Unfortunately, it looks like this is signaling the end of the road for the Gizmondo.
The Gizmondo never really took off to begin with, especially in the U.S. I mean,
no distribution.
But then, on top of that, the Gizmondo people said that they were going to unveil a widescreen Gizmondo at CES, and that didn't happen. So it's kind of, they've kind of gone into a real quiet mode, and now we kind of see why, because they don't necessarily have the cash flow to keep it going. But, bankruptcy, plenty of companies have come back from bankruptcy, so I'm not saying that it's over for them or anything like that. We'll have to wait and see.
We've talked about it before. Let's revisit it. What does a independent company, someone new to the party, have to do to release their own game system?
A whole hell of a lot. I mean, they have to attract developers first and foremost. They have to get games on the system that people want to play.
Research and development costs are probably through the roof, and as we've heard about some of these other bigger consoles, I mean, these companies like Sony and Microsoft, we talk about how expensive, the Xbox 360 is for $400 or something like that, but then you learn that Microsoft is actually selling those at a loss, so they're losing money for each one of those things that they put out there, and they're just hoping to make it back over time through software sales, but you have to be wealthy like Sony or Microsoft in order to be able to afford to do that.
And it's also not just that, it's getting good distribution. You can't just make a gizmo and go to Best Buy and say, hey, put this on your shelves for me. You have to convince them that they can move that product, and they're going to say, well, why should I take out one shelf worth of Xbox games and put this in? They're not just going to do that. So actually,
and in this case, they didn't.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah,
that's also another part of the equation there. If people don't see it, they're not going to buy it.
I think the price is a big thing. Like, if talking about a handheld, if it's not affordable, and then you're like selling to like the Brookstone crowd.
Yeah.
And then if that's the case, then as you said, Jeff, a developer is not going to put all the resources into making a game for it if there's only.
Yeah, exactly. And the Brookstone crowd wants a PSP.
Exactly.
Because there's ads for that all over the place. It's got the big wide screen. It's like people understand that immediately. The Gizmondo, I think right off the bat is a tougher sell because it doesn't have the big name games.
Yeah.
And
some of their other features were like GPS.
Right. Yeah. It's like they tried to Swiss Army knife that thing by throwing all kinds of stuff in it, and it's like some of it worked pretty well. It's like, this is probably a pretty passable MP3 player, and I used the GPS to go home once.
Did you?
Yeah.
How did it work?
Yeah, I mean, it tried to give me the long way around in a lot of cases during city driving, but for the most part, it worked.
The crowd they should be going for is the Brookstone loitering crowd, or which I enjoy doing. Is like, you're walking around
it's
the
like
mall,
they just have it
shopping.
sitting in one of the vibrating chairs.
Exactly. You just take a nice 5-minute nap in the vibrating chair, then you move on.
And you're like, sticky balls.
And our continuing updates on the financial woes of Tiger Telemetrics.
Breaking news.
Gizmondo Europe will be
Telematics.
Telematics. Let's say Telemetrics.
Yeah.
All right, well, tell us all about it then.
Gizmondo's screwed.
We knew that.
So they're screwed, and now they said, wait, don't, let us try to borrow some more money to get out of this debt that we're in. And they said, nope, we're just going to get a couple of firms to liquidate all of your stuff to pay off all of the debt that you have that's outstanding. This is for the Tiger Telematics, their UK European operations specifically.
So, though it leaves them with this quote here, that they are considering their available options with the Texas Games Studio subsidiary and its kiosk sales units, those lucrative 16 or 17 mall kiosks across this great nation.
I do need a flashy light for my cell phone that I don't own.
Or some license plate frames. They're custom.
Yeah.
But you can't get cursing on them.
No?
Unless you're really,
But black
unless
and white,
you know the guy.
Yeah, unless you know the guy.
Black and white pictures of my favorite movie stars and musical artists.
Done.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got this crazy thing that I throw up in the air and it flies around in circle up around the second level for about 5 minutes and then comes back down.
Now, see, the funny thing about all the things we've just mentioned is that they all actually exist.
Gizmondo.
Unlike the North American Gizmondo. We were just looking at the Gizmondo website yesterday, and they have a bunch of updates on their site. If you go to try to order one out of the U.S., just says like, "Oh, we're having supply problems. We haven't
Because they're
shipped
selling
your
out
order
like
yet."
Xbox
yeah, exactly.
360,
Yeah, they
right?
can't keep them in stock because they're just flying out of the warehouses.
It does sound like
it-
they're just treading water. Like they're gonna sell, like you know how they're selling these assets to keep them afloat. Whatever, they're gonna sell some of the assets to themselves. You're saying, and yeah,
Who knows?
What's what's gonna happen to like Warthog?
They're in trouble. Basically, is kind of
Warthog, if
how
you
I
don't
read
know,
this.
is the development company that they bought.
Yeah, they became like Gizmondo Studios or something like
Right.
that, and
They
they
made some alright
put out
games.
Sticky Balls.
And Johnny, whatever.
Yeah,
Is that what it's actually
it
called?
actually is. Yeah,
Yeah.
That worked out.
Which
It's
one
a
made
perfect name.
Which one made the lawnmower game?
Mama,
Mama, Can I Mow the Lawn?
Mama, Can I Mow-
I'm not sure.
Oh,
Well,
Clam
that-
Digger 2.
that's the one I'm gonna miss.
as always, we'll keep you posted.
I just want to say before we get off this topic though that this is a perfect example of why you can't make your own video game consoles anymore. The market has become so huge and so aggressive and competitive that upstarts no longer even stand a chance in this market. You have to be someone like Nintendo that's been here for years. You got to be someone like Sony who has jillions of dollars to spend. That this is no longer the little boy's game.
Yeah, it's
It
basically
never
like,
really was.
Yeah, I mean, Sega got out when the getting was good.
Yeah.
is kind of how it seems these days. But okay, so anyone out there within the sound of my voice, if you purchased a Gizmondo from the U.S. site, if you're in the United States of America, and you actually received a Gizmondo, drop me an email at jeff@gamespot.com. I really want to know if anyone actually ordered one and got one.
Now, don't take this as directions to go out and find one.
Oh yeah, no,
If-
because I got one.
Yeah.
You don't want one.
Yeah, take a picture of the kiosk and send that to Jeff as well.
Yeah. If you're near one of the like 8 mall kiosks or something,
We'll
let
show
me
it
know if
here.
there's a guy standing in front of
Show
me.
it here
ask-
on a future broadcast.
Yeah.
Ask the guy, like, how many have you sold in the last month? I want to know.
And then buy a little flashy light for your cell phone at the same
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
I got a zebra striped
And-
license plate frame.
And go to the next kiosk and buy a bonsai tree.
Nice.
Very relaxing.
Or Magic Eye.
Or some crabs.
I've got this hologram.
Ex-Gizmondo exec trashes Ferrari.
Oh, no!
Oh my goodness! I said the G word. I said it. Okay, so according to news reports, Stefan Eriksson was in a red 2003 Ferrari Enzo when the car, estimated at a value of $1 million, slammed into a pole on the PCH in Malibu, doing 100 to 120 miles per hour.
Dude, you totaled your Ferrari.
It's not mine. I got it with Gizmondo funds.
So
Neither is this.
apparently he was racing someone else who was in a Mercedes SLR.
You know, he wasn't racing.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, the cars were racing.
Right.
And so the SLR won because it came away unscathed, and the
yet he lost.
Enzo was split in half.
Yep.
And here's the best part: is that when police arrived, Eriksson denied that he was driving.
That's because he was over the legal alcohol
Who
limit.
was driving?
Who was driving? Well, let's see.
Paul Walker.
Eriksson told officials that he was not driving the vehicle, and the man behind the wheel, who Eriksson knew only as a German man named Dietrich, had fled the scene.
Dietrich.
Who
Both
lets-
airbags deployed, but blood was only found on the driver's side airbag, leading officials to question the existence of Dietrich.
Yeah, because
No.
amazingly enough, Eriksson survived this crash with minor injuries, but he did have a bloody mouth. So, but there's only blood on the driver's side airbag. I
It
don't
makes
know.
perfect sense. He
I
lets
don't know.
he lets a man he doesn't know, but any other name than Dietrich, drive his
$1 million
$1 million Enzo and drag race someone else while he's
Yeah.
drunk.
Well, he was drunk.
Well, here's the
And
question.
then the guy
That
just
was a-
runs away.
Designated
Wouldn't
driver.
you? If you totaled some dude's Ferrari, you'd be like, I gotta get out of here.
Well, let's get to the real meat of the issue here.
You don't need to know my last name. Just call me Dietrich. I'm out. Peace. And then just scurry off into the woods.
This is $1 million car, and we're going to assume that this $1 million came from the Gizmondo fund salary.
Whoa.
We're going to assume
Okay.
that, okay?
Okay.
All right,
All
we're going
right.
to assume
Okay.
that. Let's say that $1 million, instead of being given to Stefan Eriksson, was used to rent mall kiosks.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We did a little research, and it seems like depending on how big your kiosk in the mall is, you can lease it for $2,000 to $10,000 a month.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
So if it's $2,000 a month to rent a mall kiosk,
This is a word problem, isn't it?
how many mall kiosks could that $1 million have gotten? How many months worth?
All right, let's cue the Jeopardy music.
I'll just tell you. If it's $2,000,
500.
it's 500 months worth of mall kiosk space.
Wow.
So that could be 500 different malls you have a kiosk in for a month. It could be 50. You get it in there for like 10 months each. you could double up and get 2 kiosks in the same
Whoa.
in
That's-
250
that's a lot of
malls
mall
for a month.
kiosks
Whoa.
there, Rich.
It is.
And how many Gizmondos do you think would have sold had they done that? How many
3.
more? 3.
Can you-
Yeah.
That's the bonus. That's the extra credit question. I wasn't going that far.
Okay.
But kids, the lesson here is if you want a Ferrari Enzo, start a handheld company and get the money up front.
And
But
don't let Dietrich drive it. Man.
Are we ready for some emails here,
Me
Bob?
and Dietrich were hanging out the other week, dude. That guy's crazy.
Yeah, that guy's
He
that guy's
was
nuts.
wasted.
Jeff, what did he do to your Enzo?
Dude, Dietrich stole my Enzo.
There's only
Oh,
400
man.
Enzos
Yeah.
in existence, by the way.
And
Exactly.
Jeff Gerstmann had one of
I
them.
had one.
until
but
Dietrich took it.
Dietrich said he needed one for this other thing.
Seriously.
And I owe him some money for this
Emails.
this sports betting thing. And,
Yeah.
well, Dietrich just said he had to borrow it, and that was the way it was. He let me borrow his Nova.
Once,
where is this
once-
going,
Once
Jeff?
again, we like to say
Novas are
here,
cool.
This, I feel, we're finally ready to close the door almost.
No, man, this story is never going to end.
All right.
This is the beginning.
Is this really the real beginning?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is on now. Stefan Eriksson has been arrested.
No way, dude.
Yeah, so Bob, what
You
did
mean he's not?
Wait.
He's not.
the ex Gizmondo
Innocent?
exec / ex Ferrari Enzo owner / ex Freeman
Ex Dietrich
That's your
aficionado.
Dietrich friend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, he's been taken into custody after police searched his home in Bel Air, which is,
Gated neighborhood.
gated neighborhood of Bel Air next to the Fresh Prince. So the cops found another Enzo. This guy had 2 Enzos.
Awesome.
Aren't there only like 300 in the world?
Awesome.
Not anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, he wrecked one,
Yeah.
so now it's 299. But they found another one there, and another rare Mercedes. Maybe not the same one he was supposedly racing, the SL.
The Los
And,
Angeles Times and the San Francisco Chronicle have gone crazy on this.
Yeah, they're eating it up.
It's nice
So-
to know that something that we kind of treated as a joke is like in-depth expose material for these 2 major newspapers.
So these cars were actually owned by some foreign banks. Erickson and his wife stopped making payments on them, but they're still driving them around in Bel Air, which is cool.
Awesome.
Without licenses.
Yeah, and so then remember how Erickson had a Homeland Security ID?
Yeah, sure.
And some
Hey,
other
who doesn't though, right?
Yeah, I got one.
There's mine.
So his cronies also showed up at the crash site when he wrecked his first Ferrari with Homeland Security. So what the deal is that these guys set up a front at a Monrovia auto shop.
Okay.
And
I'm already confused. I'm
okay,
way confused already.
Okay, here's the thing. They basically just set up another scam because the whole Gizmondo thing was a scam to
Right.
get money.
Didn't
Right.
they buy like a tile company in Florida and then converted that into Tiger Telematics? That's what I just read in the Chronicle.
What is going on?
Exactly.
Yeah, see, that's why this is only the start of the investigation. Anyway, this Monrovia auto shop.
Yeah.
They
Kojima
used
should
it. They
make a
called
game
it.
out of this.
Yeah.
They called it the San
I'd play
Gabriel
that one.
Valley Transit Authority.
Okay.
And what they did was they applied to Homeland Security and said, "Okay, we want to do security for the San Gabriel Valley Transit Authority."
Mm-hmm.
And all it was is this is just a bunch of buses that take old folks to the old folks
Yeah,
home, and
that-
they're going
that
to
we
put
knew.
cameras on there. They get millions of dollars from the U.S. government to put cameras on old folks' buses. And then, all that extra money goes into buying Enzos, right?
Yeah, like making the down payment on an Enzo
Oh,
and then not following up.
Right, or making the down payment on a luxury yacht
There's-
and running out of the country
There's
with
another
it.
Yeah.
part of the story.
This is so awesome.
Exactly, where this is Ericsson's friend from Ireland was on the scene of the crash before police. And then another
Could
driver
he be
stopped.
Dietrich?
And then he asked one of these other drivers that stopped that he did not know if he could use his cell phone. And the guy's like, okay, so he goes and sits in the dude's car and gets on his cell phone and makes a phone call. Later, everyone goes on their separate ways. The dude who owned the car and owned the cell phone calls the cops. He's like, oh, by the way, someone wedged a loaded gun clip into my car. It's obviously this dude from Ireland. They try finding dude from Ireland. He has sailed away on his yacht.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, there's another thing about like Ericsson said, like he put the cameras on the buses for free so he could use them to demo his technology to people. And
Wait, Gizmondo technology? actually?
Oh yeah, Gizmondo.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just like mounted 6 Gizmondos in there and said, it's got GPS, whatever, it's everything you need.
So basically, this story is just getting crazier, and I can see like somewhere in the LAPD they have one of those big boards with pictures and lines going to all these different people.
And lots of
wax
question marks.
pencils.
Yeah, one's just a question mark
marks,
that
like,
leads to this Dietrich fella.
You need a Gizmondo just to sort it all
Yeah.
out.
This is so awesome.
Yeah, so
This is great, and it makes you sit there and think, wow, if these clowns could get Homeland Security badges, where's mine?
Well,
Yeah.
let's go. We should do something.
The defense
right.
is like, yeah, it's totally legal what we did. We did everything totally legal. It's like,
No, I don't.
yeah,
I don't doubt that it was that they went through proper channels and that it was easy for them to do this. But it just
Ericsson once
cast
served
that
time
whole
in Sweden for
that whole cabinet
counterfeiting.
department into question. Yes.
It's a great read. Read it on GameSpot News or the San Francisco Chronicle or the LA Times. You'll find something new in each story.
Yeah, and not to like be the downer at the end of the story, but like the whole Gizmondo saga is kind of a bummer because like as part of their whole money laundering scam or whatever scam it was they were running, they went and bought
Warthog.
They bought Warthog in
Yeah.
Texas,
Oh, right.
and converted it into Gizmondo Studios.
And in London, they had a bunch
Yeah,
of
yeah,
money
yeah.
too,
So
yeah.
they went and bought this legitimate developer that was making legitimate games for legitimate systems,
Right.
and said, "All right, now you're going to make games for Gizmondo." I mean, but not really. And then fired them all.
Exactly, and there were legitimate people who came on stage at E3 last year with the Gizmondo, and they were excited about it. Like these are all.
Oh yeah, I know a couple
all
of
this-
those guys.
Yeah.
I feel really bad because they get really amped about it. But I mean, they had to have seen it coming. Like I jumped ship from my company,
Yeah.
and theirs was like not even like a Titanic slow go down. It,
was
was
just
like,
like, oh.
it's plain that this
Yeah,
guy,
but
you know?
it's like how must that feel? It's like whatever. I'm working on these I'm working on these games with these guys. Oh well, now we have to make it for this weird system. That's kind of a bummer. But all right, whatever. We'll be the first party developers for a console. That's kind of crazy.
But, I mean,
and
they
then,
had to
like
know.
not even that. It's like I guess they had to know.
It's not like
Either way,
it's not like we were sitting around here going, "Oh, Gizmondo," that we were being like really negative about it. It was just that we knew from experience from previous systems
Sure.
and like from seeing the Gizmondo, we're like, okay, but why would I buy this if I already have a DS and a PSP?
Right.
Like I don't understand.
Well, it's just that their jobs were basically
Camera.
ripped from under them by
Yeah.
shady dealings.
Well, they
And
were
that
but they were
sucks.
probably bought out, so they were probably paid a lot of money.
Well,
So-
Or
certain
given a
people
lot of
probably
stock
were.
and a lot of paper money.
and then you take your money and you run.
I guess.
I
Yeah,
mean,
the
I'm
higher-ups
sure
certainly did.
some
This is-
people
yeah.
I'm sure some people were screwed, and
And
I'm
I'm
sorry
sure
for those
somewhere
people.
someone is on a yacht using a Gizmondo to figure out where they are in the ocean using the GPS.
We gotta get out of here.
Exactly.
It's
Damn
either
this Gizmondo.
Dietrich or this Irish fellow.
Maybe. Yeah.
And he's got an empty gun because he left his clip in the other dude's
He's
car.
got one shot in the chamber, fool.
Does anyone
Oh.
else think it's weird that the very car that he said he was racing against, a Mercedes SLR, is the same car that his wife got picked up for driving around illegally?
Maybe he was racing against his wife.
Maybe it's probably just the
maybe
first
his
car
wife
that
is
came to
named
mind.
Dietrich. Maybe, but yeah. So read it up. It's
You've
great.
uncovered,
We-
you've unraveled
dude,
the case.
We
Thanks.
need Angela Lansbury here
We
right
totally
now.
do.
Like
Yeah.
stat.
We need Matlock. All
He had
right.
Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Columbo.
We've been avoiding this one for a while,
Until there was some sort of resolution.
but some closure. Ex-Gizmondo exec goes down. Jeff.
Yeah, so Stefan Eriksson, he was part of a hung jury not too long ago and looked like they were going to retry him.
Yeah.
But, because it's what he wanted to do, his attorney said, he believes he can be successful in the future. He wanted to move on, so he pled guilty.
To what?
He pled guilty to embezzlement and driving under the influence.
Okay. So
Yeah,
wait, does that
so-
mean he's admitting he was driving the car?
Yeah.
That's really all we care about?
There is no Dietrich. Dietrich is dead.
So he's supposed to get like 4 3-year counts, but they're all going to be served concurrently.
He pled out to a year.
He's going to get
Where's Sam Waterston when you need him? He would have nailed this guy to the wall.
time served in good behavior. He should be out around a year, at which point he'll be kicked out of the country and told not to come back. That's kind of a bummer.
He admitted Dietrich did not exist.
Yeah.
And that he was the driver.
He came clean on the Dietrich. But what about, there are still so many questions. Like, what about the loaded pistol magazine that was in some dude's car?
Well, that's part of it. Oh, no, wait, that's part of it. No,
Like,
there was a
that
felony
dude
possession for
Carl.
a gun that was in his home. Yeah, who's
Yeah.
the dude on the boat? Like, there's so much of this. He actually, I'm pretty sure he pled no contest to driving drunk during the Enzo crash, so he might be saying, Dietrich still exists. Basically, this dude somehow, had $200 million in debt and, helped drive a fake company into the ground and ruined lives of game developers, and now he's getting like a year in jail and kicked out of the country.
And like the end result is that I have a case of fake video game systems and fake video games on the floor in my office.
Yeah.
Still.
Like, this should just be forever remembered for the craziness of it. Like, I was trying to, there's so many different stories you can just grab about it right now where, like, this is all done and they all have one weird random fact about it.
Yeah.
And actually, I was trying to print one up before we came up here, and my computer crashed.
Fitting.
Awesome.
That's ominous.
Hey, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't get it, but sorry, Gizmondo. Stefan Erickson is, will be he's brought to justice. He pled a whole year.
But he pled out. Yeah, he pled out for like a year. I
Week.
mean, considering there was like the 2 counts of Grand Theft Auto that were dismissed against him for like basically stealing those Enzos out of
Shouldn't
Europe.
destroying that car be a freaking crime? $1 million car.
that
Come
he
on.
that he technically stole.
That's gotta.
Wait, who
Yeah.
did he steal it from?
I guess that's the
A bank,
embezzlement
like a
part.
bank owned the like he was leasing both of these cars, and
Wow.
they were not to leave the country, but he just skipped.
And then when he went $200 million in debt, he's just stopped paying for him.
Yeah.
He'd previously spent 5 years in a Swedish prison for assault, extortion, and various other crimes. And now he's
Like
just,
counterfeiting.
I wanted to point
Yeah.
that out because how the hell did this guy go from that to running a company?
Well, Swedish prisons are very posh. They're
see.
kind
Yeah.
of,
I
they
see.
treat you nice.
There's a pretty amazing story that Wired did that
Yeah,
they have
that
up on their
was
site.
amazing.
It's like 6 pages that runs through all the details of all the stuff that
And
the Stefan Erickson stuff and like where he came from, why, like how he was using the Gizmondo stuff to get paid, and all this different stuff. It's if you really want the ins and outs of it, I recommend looking at
cash, money, chaos.
That
it.
sounds
No
like
cash, guns, chaos.
that sounds like a sordid tale.
It's totally sordid and way over the top, and he or someone needs to totally option the rights.
I was gonna say. I was just about to say.
That's why he needs to move on.
Yeah, he needs to
move on.
Service time in the
Yeah.
slam. Get up out the Bing and make something happen.
he can be successful in the future, according to his lawyer.
I want to see the knuckle tattoos that say Gizmondo. That's what I want to see.
Well, here I'll show you mine.
Perfect.
Yeah.